Oh, how are you? Just doing some animating. Yeah, that's right. I can't stop doing it. Just animating all the things. I even animated a truck and I broke one part. And I copied the broken part 38 times. So I had to do 38 more again. That's how into animating I am right now. Anyways, let's have a look at what it all means. This is the Marmon, which I have animated all of the parts here. Specifically, we're going to be looking at windows. What I'm going to do is show you individual pieces that will make your life easier. I'm going to put on my pointer focus so you can see what I'm doing. You stay over there. Okay. All right, so we know that the animations themselves, or the animation PMD and the interior PMD, are two separate things. The animation PMD contains only things that are animated, so it cannot have static pieces in it. So if you put all kinds of stuff that isn't going to be animated into the animation PMD, you're going to get some errors on export. Some of the things may not work. It all depends, but that is what you need to look out for when you're doing this. So if you notice here, we have up in the top right hand corner, we have armature, pose, armature again with bones under it, which you'll see are all of these down here. And then the pieces, and these pieces all have things assigned to them on the right hand side, which I'll explain to you while I'm going through. So if we're looking specifically at windows, I'm not going to cover the handle right now because that's a little bit more complicated. They kind of work together, but it's a little bit different. So in order to get these to work together, we're going to do screencast keys as well. Let's turn that on. Okay. So I guess if I'm screencasting those keys, I don't need them on this either. Although I don't think you can turn them off. Highlight cursor, show highlight, show click action text. Okay, there we go. All right. So what we're doing is we start off on Marmon animation. That's how it imports, is right around this centerpiece, which would be the interior node on your exterior part. That's how you look out the window. So this is what you would see, more zoomed in, obviously, like this, when you jump into the truck. Now, I want to look at the window animation. So I right-click on the animations. I press Tab. We end up in edit mode, which is up here. So these will turn yellow in edit mode unless you have some sort of skin on Blender, which may change it a different color. Again, this is also Blender 2.81. It's the newer version. It's not 2.79, it's 2.81. This is when I started learning animations. It may look a little different if you're looking at the old version. So once you go into here, this box, you'll see a whole bunch of animations here listed under SCS Object, SCS Animations. And there's just a ton of them. Like, what is all this? What does this mean? So you go down to Window Left Open. Okay. Animation player, and I press that. Well, it's not really doing anything, is it? Okay. Huh. Well, I'll tell you why it's not doing anything. You have to go into pose mode. Pose makes the bone do what it's supposed to do. So now if I press play, you'll see the window go down. And the handle goes around. But in this case, we're just worried about the window going up and down. So how do you make this happen? You'll see down at the bottom here. This is called the timeline. I've set mine up to drag open a new piece, so I did one of these and pulled up, or maybe it's over here. Yeah, so I can remove that. I don't want to do any of those things. Cancel. So how do you make, like, what is the procedure? So first of all, you have to create an animation. So in the case of this, I go over to my trusty website and I go to, is it not going to pull it over here? No, it's not. Okay. Close. Let's go over here. There we go. So I go to my trusty website over here, which is the modding.scssoft.com wiki. And you look at all these animations, and they actually haven't included the windows yet, which is funny, because if you go to Window, you'll find glass pane data right here. So this is what it needs to make the windows work. But this is only the data. This isn't actually the animations. So this is the animation right here, and it tells you what you need to be looking for. 0 is closed, 1 is open. Oh, this is the button animation, excuse me. So 0 would be closing the window. 0.5 would be the rocker switch would be in a neutral position, and then 1 would be open. And this is the bones and animations. Animation 0 means it's closed, 1 is open. So this right here is text information. This is stuff that goes into your SII file. So it says right window anim : and then it points to the PMA file that you want it to use. So what does that mean for us? In this case, when you're creating a bone to then assign to an animation, what you're doing is you're going to the armature. You want to be in edit mode. So say I wanted to create another one of these. I would place my cursor on the window. Make sure I'm in see-through mode. Yes, I am. Why did it not select those? Or is it just playing tricks on me? Oh, no, it isn't. Okay. All right, so there's my window. I also increased the thickness of the window using a modifier just to make it look like it's not just like a single like millimeter piece of glass. So what I would do here is I would cursor to selected. It moves it back a little bit over here. It doesn't matter the position necessarily where you want it to be. You want to add a bone, which is off here. As long as you're under armature, you press Shift A. Sorry, I'm not in the right mode. That's why. Shift A. Now the bone's huge, which is, you know, the other one's really small. What's going on here? Well, all you have to do is press S and scale it down to whatever size that you want to do. And then I just Shift S again, selection to cursor, so then it moves down here. Now, this bone that we just created is down here in the list. It says it's called bone. Now, in this case, I've named this one Win Open L. So window open left. So obviously we can't really do the same thing. Window OL, we'll say. Now, pose mode is where you start to move the item that you want to move, and that assigns it into down here, the action editor. Now we don't have a new animation, so I'm just going to make one just to show you. So we'll do window win left test. All right. And then I'm going to take and once you're in pose mode, by the way, you can't go back to object mode until you click it. So now we have this window selected, right? We have our vertices selected on this window. Now, the thing that makes it super easy, which I didn't realize, which was giving me a really hard time in the past when I tried to do this, is you want to put the items that you're working with and the vertices into vertex groups. So this particular model, which is the two left and right windows, has two vertex groups. Windows open left, window open right. What does that mean? Well, it means that these vertices will be assigned to the bone that corresponds to this name. So if I go down here, you'll see this bone right here is named Win Open L. This is Win Open L. That means these vertices will go up and down with that bone in pose mode. So what we want to do is we want to create a new one called Window OL. We're going to assign these vertices to it. And then we're going to get out and we're going to go back here to our armature and pose mode. Select this bone, which is Windows OL, or Window OL, which you can just see over my head. Okay. So now, if I select this bone, this is very important to use this part here, and change your rotation. We're not rotating this, but you always want to change anything you're rotating to X, Y, Z. Now if I take this and I select this moving and I grab this blue, which is the part that's going up and down, the window goes up and down. Right? So that's pretty cool. So now you say, well, that's great, but how do I make it? Let's do 1 to 2. Okay. So down here, this is the action editor or the dope sheet. They look similar, but the action editor changes. There's a name up here that you're gonna be using. So now they said 0 was closed and 1 was open. Blender likes to start us off on 1, so I go 1 to 2 or 0 to 1, but it starts usually at 1, so I just pick 1 to 2. Doesn't really matter too much in that regard. So now we have our bone. It's all set here. So it's closed, and we pick our bone here, and we're doing location based, right? So we're going up and down. So that's a location. It's not a rotation, and it's not a scale. We're not making it bigger. It's just going up and down or left and right or whatever it happens to be. So this is a location. So transformation location. We're closed right now. We're going to press I. It's inserted that keyframe right here to say this is the closed location. And then you select the second keyframe that you want. If you go here and then move this like that, and then go, oh, I meant to click here, it closes the window again, because the only keyframe you have saved is this one. Okay, so you always want to select the keyframe first and then do the positioning. So now we're going to open this all the way down to here. We'll say. Now we press 1. We press I, insert keyframe. And then you want to change it to something that you recognize. Window OL action. So now I can go over here to WinL test. I can put this window OL action. I want to, on this active animation settings, I want to make sure that these two, both this down here and this over here, match. And what I mean by that is it starts at 1, ends at 2. This starts at 1. It doesn't end at 250. It ends at 2. And this doesn't matter for this so much, but you want to do an increment of 1 because it's only going one position. And then you press play, and you'll see it goes from up to down. And then once you do that, you go back to Marmon animation, select your export path, press export. Now you've animated the window. The next thing that you have to do is you have to go in here, and you have to go to the modding folder, and you have to go into your defs, into your interior. You go to animations, and you'll see in here I had the window stick animation assigned, but the window stick does not, it's just an on-off, which is the button. So in order to make the cranks go, I had to also assign it to the window animation, which I'm not going to show you because it's a little bit more involved. But once you put this all the way down here, where did I end up putting it? There it is. Left window animation. So once you export it, you'll see all the PMA files that you've just made over here. All of these will be the names. See? Win open L. Win open L. Win open R, etc. So that's telling the game that, hey, the animation for the windows are these two things. That's what you need to look for. Now, the other somewhat difficult thing is going to be your glass information, because the locator name here needs to match the locator name in your model, which is left L glass pane for me right here. So L glass pane, this glass pane right here, that is called L glass pane, and that is also the same as this L underscore glass pane. You have to estimate its size. You have to say it's an openable bone. And this is the mask. I can't quite figure out the masks themselves. It keeps telling me that the TGA file that I'm creating is not grayscale, even though it is. So I'm not exactly sure what needs to happen with that. So I've just pinned these to the 389 masks until I get more instruction on that. But that's what you need to do. And all that information is also on the wiki up here. This is what it's telling you right here on the bottom. And that's really about it. Once you get that first one exported and it starts going up and down for you, that's when you start to get excited. But yeah, so if we go back into pose mode, and I can go right back down here, and there it goes. But now, if I want to do my Windows open part, which is this one, you can see it's a bit longer because I'm also cranking the window, and it's not going as far because this is now assigned to this one. But that's how you animate. In Basic, I did all this. I did all of these animations on my own. It's much less involved than I thought initially. I wouldn't say it's easy. It's a lot of it's very time consuming. But it's a lot of fun once you get it down. But yeah, going through the whole motion of doing the entire animating process from start to finish, including doing all the def files, is really tedious. I can see why it's hard to instruct people on how to do it, because if you don't know anything about SII files to start with, you're going to have that problem. Plus, learning how to negotiate Blender and animating that everything is yet another issue. So, well, I hope this helped you guys a little bit with some animations, specifically Windows in this particular case. And I look forward to seeing you guys soon and talking about more animations. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.